r/AskReddit. What seemed nice when you were a child, but when you grew up turned out to not be so nice. I used to love to play office and shuffle around papers etc. like I was at a job. Now that I actually do work in an office, not so much fun, lol. Yeah, I loved all the office supplies and containers in the display desks at Office Depot when I was a kid. I always wished I had stuff to organize and put in folders, but now it's all just so mundane. Isn't it weird how we are so excited to organize things when we have nothing that needs organizing, but when we do have stuff that needs organization we see it as a chore? Kinda funny. I guess you need to go back into that mindset, the one where you're surrounded by colorful binders and neatly kept papers. I used to play school teacher as a kid who thought it would be the most fun in the world. I've been doing it for several years for real now, and while I do enjoy it, it's not the same kind of fun. To remind myself, I keep hanging on my classroom wall a photograph of the 6-year-old me explaining something on a child's blackboard. Same. My parents were my students, and I would teach them English. I even made them keep a notebook and gave them homework. Now I work heavily with ESL kids, but it's nowhere near as fun as it was as a kid. Getting dizzy. We had an uncle who was tall and strong and would spin us around one by one. We couldn't get enough. I remember after my spin, I'd just laugh as I couldn't keep my balance and watch the world spin. Now, I avoid getting dizzy like the plague. There's a reason for this. Little kids absolutely love getting swung and tossed around because it helps them develop their nervous system and motor skills. They grow out of it, which is why most adults don't like the sensation of being dizzy or tossed around. I spin my nieces around cause they think it's hilarious. Poor old Uncle me has to sit down for a bit afterwards. But you better believe I'll keep doing it. I swam in some bodies of water as a kid that seemed fine, but looking back, adult me would never get in that water. God, I feel this. I cut the webbing between two of my toes open on a clamshell as a kid, in an area I would not even get in as an adult for fear I would die of septic shock just touching it. Or picking up rotting horseshoe crabs and chucking them at your friends. All fun and games until someone gets the business end. Piss clams and jellyfish. The armaments of feral children. As a kid we used to swim in a pond that was mud at the bottom with areas you knew to avoid due to the leeches, and that we would occasionally have to evacuate for a while so my uncle could kill the snapping turtle that had come arcling. Now my aunt has an above ground pool 50 feet from that pond, and my spoiled niece and nephew and cousins have no idea what it's like to sink your toes down into that muck. And adult me would avoid that like the plague. Money. $5 was like 1 million back then. Now I get paid $2,000 and it's gone in bills right away. My kids, wow, you have $500? You could buy anything. Sure I could, buddy, if you just don't eat for the month. Unlimited ice cream with no one telling me to stop before my stomach hurts. My most adult moment so far, other than getting married, divorced, married again, and having 2 children, is when I decided that I'm an adult, goddammit, and I can buy a chocolate shake and a banana split from Dairy Queen if I want to. I now know my dairy limit. Wait. Hold up. You bought both at the same time? Just the one time? It also doesn't help that it is much easier to become overweight as an adult compared to being a child. A big part of that is having parents to tell you not to eat too much. Well, that and running around at 17 miles per hour and screaming your head off while wielding a broomstick in an imaginary battle with a fire-breathing dragon. When I was a child I was told that a lot of people would be offering me drugs. Exactly. The drug talks at school would make you think that someone is going to jump you on the street and forcibly inject you with heroin. All that, they'll offer you free drugs to get you hooked and spend all of your money. Where were all the free drugs when I was growing up? Huh? I had to pay for my weed. A popular girl complimented me on my shoes. My mom had just gotten them for me from Old Navy, and I thought they were really cool. Were they really expensive? She asked. Were they like? She dropped her voice, $20? I smiled back, thinking it was cool that she must be responsible enough to buy her own clothes, cause I certainly didn't in grade 7. I nodded and said, they were $19.99, yeah. She smiled and walked away, and I was so excited to have been complimented by a person who was not only PO.Peeler, but also a girl, that I wrote about it on my Harry Potter calendar, and told my mom that the cool kids liked my shoes. It was earlier this year that I thought back on this nice memory and went wait. A similar thing happened to me in 6th grade. My mom got me these really cool shoes from Payless that almost looked like the skater shoes the popular kids wore. One day a boy I had crush on complimented my cool new shoes and noticed my shoe brand, which just so happened to be BUM Equipment shoes, and made fun of me ruthlessly for being a bum in Payless shoes, and made me cry. I never wore the shoes again, and for my birthday that year begged my newly divorced single mom of 4 for $80 etnies that she went broke to buy me. Didn't dawn on me until years later that he would have only known they were a Payless brand by his parents, having shopped there too. Kids are assholes. Right, I was always afraid to be seen in Kmart as a kid, early 1980s, but then realized that if a classmate saw me there, I also was seeing them there. Getting mail. If available, get the delivery notifications for mail. USPS has it. That sends you an email every day of what mail you are getting. That way you can know when it is time to pack the car and head to the woods to avoid those bills. If I order something online, I'm checking every day to see when it arrives, and it is such a great feeling when you get something. Cries and bills. As a child, I loved looking at the lobsters in the grocery store. I thought they sold them to be pets. Imagine my horror when I found out they are sold to be boiled alive and eaten. My dad brought home lobsters one time. As a kid, it was a magical day. We selected the lobsters, brought them home, and got to play with the forbidden creatures from the grocery store for a while on the kitchen floor. Then, we were sent out back, because it was the 90s and that's what happened as a kid, and when we came back, dinner was ready. It took longer than I'd like to admit to connect those dots. Earning money. Don't get me wrong, I like earning money just like everyone else. But it sucks that the majority of a paycheck can't be spent on Nerf guns and Legos. My Lego collection would like very much to disagree with you. Eating fast food and ramen noodles when you want. Gets old pretty quickly. Found this out the hard way at university. Looking back, I think that's one of the reasons why my mental health took a turn for the worst. Studies are finding more and more data to support the idea that the bacteria makeup in your gut is way more important than previously thought. The gut is often referred to as the second brain. Eating a lot of junk food and garbage can certainly contribute to mental illness. Being a grown-up. I wish I could shrink down to the time I didn't have constant internal problems. We all do, friend. Those internal struggles don't go away. You just learn how to work with them and understand them. They are a part of you. And that's okay. More people than OP needed to be reminded of this. Thank you. Snowstorms. As a kid you're all, yay, no school. And you get bundled up and go outside and make snow angels and have snowball fights and go sledding and run around the whole goddamn day and come inside and mom has a grilled cheese sandwich and bowl of tomato soup. As an adult, oh duck, I have to shovel the driveway and the goddamn sidewalk. And then having to reshovel the end of the driveway when the plows come by and cover it up. And if you go out in your car, there's a bunch of shitheads who only scrape the snow off the front windshield and the others who ignore the fact that road conditions aren't suitable for going 80 ducking miles per hour anymore. I live in the southeast. We don't shovel anything, we just give it a few days. But as a developer, when they closed the office they'd say, please work at home if you can, so I still had to work. With the kids underfoot, as snow only entertains them for so long. This was my one caveat to working at home though, I always took time to go play in the snow with the kids. We had a snow/ice situation a few years back. I went out for something, the main roads were okay, but there was big slick spot outside the neighborhood, but off the main road. I couldn't resist doing a few donuts. Then I called my son and told him to put his shoes on and meet me in the garage. I picked him up and we went and did it again. Before you call me an irresponsible parent, there was nothing there to hit. I still am irresponsible, but I defend myself in this one case. I had to take the whole family out the next day. I did it again. I don't remember my other son's reaction, the one I took the first day as a budding gearhead, but my wife was not amused. High heels. It's not that they're not nice, just not practical for my daily life. I always wanted to grow up faster, so I could steal some of my mum's really pretty heels. I thought they looked like the prettiest, classiest things, and couldn't wait to wear some. Oh my god, the first time I wore a pair, I about wrecked my knee and twisted my ankle. Never mind the absolute agony my heels were in by the end of the day. Duck that noise. Staying up all night. I used to want to stay awake all night and play video games. I grew up in an extremely religious community that I only later found out had a lot of cult-like features. There were a lot of things that I thought were normal or even kinda great when I was a kid. Turns out television screen isn't actually the devil's device that it uses to enter your body. Holy shit, are we siblings? My mom told my ex that the scary movie she brought over on DVD would open a portal to hell and allow demons to enter her home, so we weren't allowed to watch it. The nice old men who offered me desserts and candy. You think I'm joking, but I can clearly remember a few times guys would come up and offer me candy or giving me money for dessert and then winking and saying to meet in the parking lot. Was definitely not the smartest kid. Food from McDonald's. Growing up as a middle-class child, Taco Bell, McDonald's, and other fast food were primo, top-tier luxury goods in my kid brain. Now, I'd rather get a nice meal at a sit-down place, which in this age, is more of a risky luxury than anything else. Living on a farm. I begged and begged my mom to buy a farm and have horses, etc. I have never even liked to literally get my hands dirty. Though a horse would be nice, I was cured when someone moved into the neighboring farm and everything they owned was dirty, and the kids always had to help out with something on the farm. I grew up on a farm. I had a hard time doing chores outside as a kid with my OCD, but now that I'm an adult I love the farm life and everything that comes with it. Having big boobs. In elementary school I wanted to grow up to have big boobs because I thought that meant I'd be attractive. Now I'm fat with G-cups and back problems. Careful what you wish for.